All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thanks for bearing with us. We'll begin our meeting. Adequate notice of this December the 21st, 2015, feels like spring. December 21st, 2015 meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of this meeting on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing same with Township Clerk. May I have a roll call, please?
Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Ferramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Bruno.
Here.
Committeeman Capola.
Here.
And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Please be seated. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, it's customary for the Township Committee to open the meeting to the public. Motion to open.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. Anyone who would like to address the Township Committee at this time may do so from the podium. Please give us your name and address for the record. Seeing none.
Close.
Hearing none.
Motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Administrator.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have the approval of the Township Committee regular meeting minutes of December 10th, 2015. May we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion, second. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. We have one item of communication. It's a letter dated December 21st, 2016, addressed to the Township Committee and myself. It reads as follows: I would like to inform you that I have applied for my pension and will be retiring effective March 1st, 2016. It has been a pleasure and an honor serving the people of Hanover Township over the last 34 years. It has been a great career for me, from protecting and meeting the President of the United States of America to being present for the arrest of bank robbers and assisting people in need. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Joe Giorgio. He has always been helpful no matter what the issue was or what time of day or night. Joe was always there with guidance. I will truly miss our daily morning talks. I would like to thank the entire Township Committee over the last 13 years for having the confidence in me to keep the Township of Hanover safe. I would like to thank my committee liaisons, John Tort and George Capola, for all their help over the years. Because of them, my job has been that much easier. Lastly, I would like to thank all the men and women of the Township of Hanover Police Department for their support over the years. They are honestly the best group of people I have ever worked with. If I can be of any assistance prior to and afterwards, please let me know. I'd be glad to provide whatever assistance I can to assure a smooth transition. Thanks again, Stephen W. Gallagher, Chief of Police. May we have a motion to accept the letter?
Accept it.
A motion, second. Roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye. It goes without saying that all of us on the Township Committee truly appreciated all the work of Chief Gallagher over the years. Chief, you will be sorely missed. There's no question about that. But we also wish you all the best. You've got a lot to offer, and you're a young man that's going to go forward, and I'm sure there are other mountains for you to climb. So we hope that Hanover Township was a good experience for you, as it was for us. Made this town and protected this town, made it for what it is today, and we thank you for all of the time you've given us. So much appreciated, Steve, as you go forward. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I like to add that I've worked with Chief Gallagher for 7 years, and it really has been a pleasure. I say that because there's been a lot of give and take. It's never been a one-sided situation. You know, he's always willing to work together with the committee. The committee has been very supportive. We've gone through some tough times, when we had layoffs and, when things got better, the committee saw the need to, again, support the police and for the services they provide to our community. I know I'm going to miss him a lot, because he usually comes down where I work, or I come into his office, and we really have a lot of fun talking with each other. And whenever there's an issue, we manage to work through it. So, Chief, I know his wife's going to keep him busy. He already told me that. But all in all, I wish him much happiness, much luck, and much success as he moves forward, as I know he's going to be very much happy in his retirement. And I want to thank the committee always for being supportive of the police department.
Thanks, George. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have departmental reports, which are on file in the administrator's office. They include the report of the township engineer, his capital project status report. We have the report of the township's property maintenance officer on all of her activities through the 21st of December. Chief Gallagher has submitted his annual summary of all activities and projects conducted by the police department during calendar year 2015. And finally, we also have the report of the summary of budget revenues as of December 16th, submitted by the Chief Financial Officer. And yes, one more, the Office of the Construction Official. The construction official has submitted his report on the issuance of all building permits and certificates of occupancy issued during the month of November 2015. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, next item, number 7, we have the public hearing and consideration of adopting ordinance number 32-15. This is an ordinance of the Township Committee amending and supplementing Chapter 166 of the Code, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by amending the regulations for the R10A zone district. We'll note for the record that the ordinance was sent to the Hanover Township Planning Board for review and referral in accordance with the municipal land use law. And we have a report that we'll read into the record in a moment. We'll also note for the record that anyone affected by the change in this ordinance within 200 feet, all the property owners within 200 feet of this zone have been notified. We have the proof of publication that the ordinance 32-15, and the notice of introduction appeared in full in the November 16th issue of the Daily Record. And finally, ordinance number 32-15 was filed with the Morris County Department of Planning and Public Works in accordance again with the municipal land use law. Now, on the letter from the Planning Board, it is dated December 8th, 2015, and it's to myself, dear Mr. Giorgio. At its December 8th, 2015 meeting, the Planning Board reviewed and discussed ordinance number 32-15, which had been referred by the Township Committee as required by the municipal land use law at NJSA 40:55D-26A, which reads as follows, quote, prior to the adoption of a development regulation, revision, or amendment thereto, the Planning Board shall make and transmit to the governing body within 35 days after referral a report including identification of any provisions in the proposed development regulation, revision, or amendment which are inconsistent with the master plan, and recommendations concerning these inconsistencies and any other matters as the board deems appropriate, end quote. The letter continues. The amendments proposed by ordinance 32-15 would permit the development of single-family attached dwellings, also known as townhouses, as an alternative to single-family detached dwellings and with different standards. The Planning Board has determined that ordinance 32-15 is inconsistent with the master plan. The two R10A zones affected by ordinance 32-15 are located on North Jefferson Road and at the intersection of Park Avenue and Whippany Road. The land use element of the master plan recommends an R10A zone classification for the North Jefferson Road zone and an R15 zone classification for the Park Avenue Whippany Road zone. In addition, the master plan recommends single-family detached homes in the R10A zone, whereas Ordinance 32-15 would permit townhouse development. Finally, the master plan recommends a density limitation of 16 units for property in the R10A zone, whereas both the existing R10A zone regulations and the amendment proposed by Ordinance 32-15 would permit more than 16 units. In considering the amendments proposed by Ordinance 32-15, the Planning Board offers the following comments. 1. The Board has previously supported the two ordinances that created and subsequently expanded the R10A zone district, noting various public benefits that would result from adoption of said ordinances. Following adoption of the ordinances, 2 development applications for single-family detached homes were submitted and have been approved by the Planning Board, most recently for the property at the intersection of Park Avenue and Whippany Road. 2, as a result of the Planning Board's review and approval of the site plan application for the property at the intersection of Park Avenue and Whippany Road, the Board determined that an improved layout could be achieved if townhouse development were permitted. The benefits that could be realized through such a layout include, but are not necessarily limited to, the following. 1, more efficient and effective use of open space. 2, improved roadway layout. 3, increased setbacks of buildings from Park Avenue and Whippany Road. 4, reduced coverage by improvements. 5, improved buffers. And 6, improved dwelling rear yard layouts. 3, the amendment proposed by Ordinance 32-15 would reduce the maximum density permitted in the case of townhouse development in order to achieve the benefits cited above. And 4, the Board believes that the amendments proposed by Ordinance number 32-15 would promote these and other benefits, and therefore recommends the adoption of Ordinance number 32-15 as introduced. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on Ordinance 32-15. Very truly yours, Robert Nardone, Chairman, on behalf of the Hanover Township Planning Board. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, may we have a motion to convene the public hearing on
So
Ordinance
moved.
number
Second.
32-15. We have a motion by Mr. Ferramaska, seconded by Mr. Bruno. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to address the Township Committee on Ordinance 32-15? If so, please step forward to the microphone and give your name and address for the record.
Diana Plaza, 2 Briarwood Court, Whippany. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on the impact that this amendment will have to the property on Jefferson Road. It's just, there's a lot of different ordinances that were brought up, and I just want to make sure that I'm crystal clear on what that means. Will there be any change to currently what's been approved on Jefferson Road, what's built on Jefferson Road? Will there be any extension of this change in the zoning, et cetera? So should in 5 years the Birchwood Manor, for example, sell? Is there any? Does this amendment affect anything that's
No.
there or that could be there in the
I
future?
don't think there's any,
If you want,
Blaze, go ahead.
yeah.
I don't think there's any. Go ahead.
The zoning amendment as proposed would allow what's there to continue and would allow what's there to be torn down and rebuilt again. It would also allow what's there to be torn down and someone to build townhouses with somewhat different standards than what's there. The standards that are somewhat different are intended to achieve a better layout and improved setbacks and improved use of open space, as was read in the letter. It's not envisioned, however, that anyone having just built single-family homes that are there today would now tear them down and build townhouses. For one, they would get fewer units. So that's not likely to happen on North Jefferson Road.
Then I guess to me, it's not clear then why we would approve an amendment for something that A, is not likely to happen, and B, that could turn out to be a whole bunch of townhouses that were rejected by this committee after a 2-year discussion.
Well, the
So
two-
why would we amend
Right,
that
there's
at this point?
Two issues. There's two properties that are in the R10A zone, the one on North Jefferson and the
Right.
one at Park and Whippany. It will make a difference at Park and Whippany because that hasn't been built yet. So that's why we would make the change is to achieve those benefits that have been identified in the planning board's letter at the Whippany and Park site. The second reason, the second concern you stated that a bunch of townhouses that were previously rejected. What was rejected by the governing body last year was for townhouses at a much higher density than what this is proposed. So this is lower density than was proposed then. It's even lower density than for the single-family homes that have been built. So again, I don't see a lot of economic incentive for a builder to having just spent money on building new homes to tear them down to build fewer townhomes.
Right. So then, for me, I guess then the question is, why is this even included? Why was that property
Because-
even included in this amendment? Just because it's a
Because
10A
we're
zone?
amending the zone regulations. That property just happens to be in the same zone, but we don't envision any change occurring there.
But it
But-
could in the future. If we
It's-
adopt this
it's-
amendment, then it could in 30 years happen, or less, whatever, but,
I mean, it's theoretically
including it
possible.
here.
Again, it's something that we don't think is likely to happen for the reasons that I just explained. Could it happen? Anything's possible that could happen. But even if it did happen, we believe that the result would be a better result. So I don't know how else to answer.
yeah. And this part of it can't be removed from this amendment, the property on Jefferson
By state
Road
law,
can't be.
the rules to a particular type of development have to be uniform throughout the zone. The only other way of removing that would be to create another new zone, which means there'd be one zone on North Jefferson and a separate zone at Park and Whippany. That's the only way of changing that.
Okay. And what would be the downside of doing that?
Well, it's just, we could put every property on its own zone, but it's just, it really becomes unworkable. So it's a lot more efficient to do it this way.
This amendment, clearly from the points that the administrator read from the planning board, provides the township, and of course it certainly was attractive to the township committee because it provides nearly double the amount of rear yard space that the housing proposed on this property at Park Avenue and Whippany Road. The same is true from the distances from Whippany Road in. This is a significant increase in the distance from the road in. The road system in this plan is a driveway, not a road system. With the housing, it was a road system with a cul-de-sac, or what should I call it, a T-turn or something else like that, which we did not find acceptable. The impact of the development in this zone 10A for Park Avenue and Whippany Road is far, far more desirable than would have been the single-family standalone homes that was proposed there. All of which, again, with the landscape and the buffers increasing here, was taken into consideration with the planning board. So that's why that was revisited. As you remember, the original plan for the single-family home was approved. And I think it was not on the developer's end of the urging to revisit this. It was on the township's end that we urged the developer to revisit this. We did not like the density. 20-foot yards between houses is not sufficient, and there were too many negatives. He did, and this was the outcome. So,
And the maximum number of units? I'm sorry, I don't think I heard that.
What was approved was 25. The density in this ordinance would reduce that to 24, not on North Jefferson, but at Park and Whippany.
And on North Jefferson, the maximum
It's
number of units
16
if they were
today.
to... Yeah.
I haven't done the calculation. It would at most be a reduction to 15
Okay.
there.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to add something. I was one of the people who were against this original proposal of the condominium. I saw the proposal for the individual houses. and I saw the overlay for these carriage houses. When I tell you, it is absolutely beautiful. You will not see them, the landscaping, and I say that truly. But when I saw how it overlaid, and what a mishmash the 25 houses look like as compared to what's being proposed now, is absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. It's going to be a real beautiful sight driving into Hanover Township. You won't even probably even notice it that much, but when you do see it, it's going to be beautiful.
Then, and just my final question, is there a maximum number of condominiums that we can offer in our township? I mean, we're 10 miles of a township. Is there a maximum number that we are able to build? Or can we just build hundreds of condo units if that's what we want to do here? Because we've already got a substantial number for a township of this size.
Township conducted a socioeconomic study. Township in its master plan desires the future for Hanover to remain a suburban township. We evaluated all different specifications in terms of numbers. I'm not going to get us into a whole master plan review tonight, but we are at a point where I think we're in the right balance. I don't think that there's any real opportunity or burning platform to start leveling communities to put up townhomes. I think the township is representing the people in Hanover very well in terms of defending its housing plan. So I don't see that being a tremendous challenge at the moment, but I thank you for raising the issue.
Okay. And a socioeconomic study was conducted, so that's something that I can request via Oprah, the outcome of that socioeconomic study?
It's deliberative work. When it's finalized, you can Oprah it, you can get a copy of it.
I would just like to say one thing, Mayor, if I could.
Certainly.
You know, when the initial proposal came through, like Committeeman Coppola, I wasn't in favor of it. When the second proposal came in, I thought it was the better of the two evils, because a lot of us would like to have the R15 like we all have. You know, I work in a lot of different towns every day, and Mendham Commons, the mayor referred to at our last meeting, is a beautiful facility, and they look like houses, but they're just connected. The yards are, and so we talked about Mendham Commons and different development they have in Chatham. And to me, personally, I chose to move here and raise my family here. I think that's more consistent with the look that I would like for Hanover Township, again, out of what we had to choose from. And I think you're really going to be impressed with what this looks like. It's not going to, like Ron said, that they're not 20 feet apart. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of space, a lot of backyards, a lot of distance from the street. They are actually beautiful. And I was a person not too long ago jumping up and down about condos. I don't consider these condos. I really don't. I think they're a beautiful place that somebody will be very happy living and have a lot of pride in home ownership and wanting to be in Hanover Township. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think you're really going to like them. And we spent 6 months battling this out, and I think this is a very good outcome.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing them. I just want to make sure that we don't become this ultra-dense condo community. And, you know, and I'm less worried about builders knocking down what's already there and more worried about some of the underdeveloped land that we still have in our town that could become, you know, condo city for us. And I really don't want us to turn into, you know, like some of our neighboring towns, like Parsippany, for example, where there's all these condos and apartments.
I think you have to consider each piece of zoning that we go, not to belabor this, but each piece of zoning that we look at has very unique issues or non-issues, et cetera, and giving consideration. Particular property that we looked at, Park Avenue, and if you were at the hearings, I'm sure you were, you heard from the sellers, the reverend who was selling the property, et cetera, and you heard all of the options available to us at the time. You also heard that there were absolutely no interest in single-family homes on that property based on the zone that it was. So it was the proper move to make on the part of the township, and I think the outcome, and by the way, you're certainly entitled to see the elevations and the plans of these. This is a townhouse community, much like Vieira is on Horse Hill Road. Mm-hmm. These are not apartment-type units that people have this stigma for. Mm-hmm. and they will add considerably to the township, and there is a need, I might add, for this. These are also age-controlled, so we're very confident that the child population out of this will be near zero, and the histrionics of looking at these units in other towns has shown that the population for the schools is near zero, so that's not an impact that we're concerned with. But the biggest problem before Hanover Township right now is the one that we're all aware of, and that is the challenge by COA. If there's anything that's going to bring housing into this township, it's not from within. It's going to be from the challenges from the court and COA, if we're to allow that, and we're defending against that. So that's where it's going. It's not our vision to see Hanover dotted with condominiums, but on the other hand, in approved areas, appropriately placed, they're a fine addition to the community, and they serve us well. So, thank you.
George, why 50% of the bedrooms are on the first floor?
Oh, yeah. Well, George explained the characteristics of this development, and 50% of the bedrooms are on the master bedrooms are on the first floor with the kid. As a matter of fact, I should take a look at one. I'm really getting tired of my house. But 50% of the bedrooms are on the first floor, and that's another incentive for those of us who want all of our living on one level as well. I invite you to take a look at Vieira again on Horse Hill Road. It's going to be typical of that. It's a gated-type community, so I think this is going to be upscale from that standpoint. Thanks, George. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And just as a public record, as Committeeman Faramasca mentioned, the Township did commission a socio-economic impact study, which is still in draft format, so it's a deliberative work product, so it's not available at this time.
Do you have an anticipated date of when that will be available?
I couldn't say. I'd have to defer to Committeeman Faramasca on that.
It's still being worked upon. It's part of the master plan process. But once it is available, just like the master plan is completed, we will present it to the community.
Okay, so I mean, do we see something like 3 months, 6 months, a year? No idea
I
at this
think it
point?
would be unfair for me to state a specific date at this point, because it's work of that nature is very sensitive work, it's very complicated work, and it's an ongoing process.
Okay, then I'll follow up with you then,
Sure,
Mr.
please do.
Faramasca, regularly. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in chambers wishing to be heard concerning ordinance 32-15?
Motion to close.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Close the public hearing. Second. On roll call to close the public hearing. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, before the Township Committee can consider adoption of the ordinance, the municipal land use law requires that because the recommendations of the Planning Board set forth inconsistencies with the master plan concerning ordinance 32-15, the Township Committee must pass a resolution setting forth the reasons why it is adopting the land use ordinance 32-15, which is inconsistent with the master plan. And all those items were already read into the record, so I'm not going to bore everyone again by reading them, but I would ask that the Township Committee provide a motion to not only accept the letter into the record, but to vote on the resolution which memorializes all the reasons.
I will make a motion to accept the letter and to accept the motion based upon the reasons stated. And I just wanted to summarize some of the key ones. First of all, the Planning Board and the Township Committee worked very diligently in comprehensive fashion to review R10A with the intent to evolve R10A. What were we trying to do? Well, from a planning standpoint, we saw that there's a need for a type of housing that would require less outdoor maintenance. People want to live in suburbia, but some of them want to live in suburbia in a different structure of home. These carriage homes meet that criteria. So we will provide an opportunity for individuals to live. The R10A design is such that it will provide us with housing that will have little to no impact upon the schools. Planning Board work to shape the density component to reduce the impervious coverage, which is very important from a planning standpoint. We improved open space, we improved setbacks, we improved buffers, and again, I really think that this evolved ordinance is beneficial, and therefore I will make a motion for its approval.
Okay, we have a motion for the approval of the resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Faramaska, seconded by Mr. Capola. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher,
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. Now on consideration of adoption, be it resolved that an ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, amending and supplementing Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township of Hanover, entitled Land Use and Development Legislation, by amending the regulations for the R10A Zone District, be passed on final reading, and that a notice of the final passage of the ordinance be published in the December 28th issue of the Daily Record in accordance with law. May we now have a motion on adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Faramaska, seconded by Mr. Bruno. On roll call for adoption, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So adopted. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue...
Mr. Giorgio,
Yes.
prior to moving
Yes,
to
sir.
resolutions as part of the consent agenda,
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion.
Yes, go right
The
ahead,
motion
sir.
I'd like to make is to authorize the approval of a memo of agreement between Hanover Township and Quick Check Corporation, and requesting the mayor and township clerk to execute said agreement.
Okay, we have a motion, and we'll include that as part of the consent agenda. We have a motion by Mr. Faramaska to approve and authorize a memorandum of agreement by and between the township and Quick Check Corporation, and further authorizing the mayor and township clerk to execute the agreement. May we have a second on that motion?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Bruno, and that will be incorporated as part of the consent agenda. So at this time, members of the Township Committee, are there any questions concerning any of the resolutions, including the resolution that Mr. Faramaska has made with regard to the Quick Check agreement?
Move they be approved.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Capola for the approval of the
Second.
consent agenda, including the resolution offered by Mr. Faramaska, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola. And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with the agenda on page 2, we have the payment of our bills, $786,470.10. May we have a motion for approval
So
and payment?
Moved. Second.
Has Fed
Motion
increased the
by-
interest rate yet?
Mr. Bruno,
Stereo.
seconded by Mr. Capola. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
And we have 2 raffle applications as a consent agenda. Raffle application 2895 for a 50/50 on-premise for the Whippany Fire Company, and raffle application 2896, Our Lady of Mercy calendar raffle. May we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
So moved by Mr.
Second.
Bruno, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. Roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. Mr. Chairman, members of the Township Committee, that clears the agenda of the Business Administrator, Township Clerk, and I thank you.
Well, thank you, Joseph, very much. Okay, at this time, gentlemen, any other comments? Raffles, we did, okay. No further comments from the committee at this point. Once again, opening to the public. So a motion to open?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the floor is open. Anyone who would like to address the Township Committee at this time can do so from the podium.
Jim Neidhart, 3414 Appleton Way, Whippany. I noticed on the work session agenda, the public portion of it, that you had an item there to discuss related to a letter related to sanitation services for the Eden Lane condominiums. I was wondering if you had gotten to discuss that yet?
Jim, I think that's continued on our agenda for this evening.
Okay.
And it is on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, for discussion. We
I would-
understand it.
I would just like to make a comment on that. Having lived in the condominium complex for the last 8 years, I'm very familiar with it. We have 2 situations going on right now related to garbage collection. One is that not too long ago, our collections were reduced from twice a week to once a week. And we have a fixed number of sanitation bins. We don't have the traditional garbage cans that the rest of the
We're
town has.
picking you up by a dumpster?
Dumpster.
Yes.
With dumpster? Okay.
Commercial dumpster. Very, very big, ugly, expensive dumpsters. And they tend to overflow from time to time, especially at the holiday season. It's just one of those things. I understand the municipal service agreement we have with the town. They reduced our collection to once a week to be consistent with the other residents. The other residents were moved to once a week because of the one-armed bandit.
Yeah.
We don't have any of that in our condominium complex. Unlike Oak Ridge, which has, I believe, a combination. They have dumpsters in the affordable housing area, and they have curbside pickup in the rest of the condominium. I'm not sure what Hanover Hills and the like, but Eden Lane has something in the magnitude of 40 some odd dumpsters. Some are in sheds that hold 2 dumpsters. Some have 3 dumpsters because we have recyclables, which I believe are picked up by the county, and the sanitation, which is picked up by you guys. So we have a situation that we just have to deal with. We have to be more compact with our garbage and fit it in there. We do have some overflows from time to time, but I understand that was to be fair to all residents, that it wouldn't be fair to give us 2 pickups when everybody else is getting 1. Similarly, all of the other residents in the town get either $55 or $60 bins given to them, which we do not. We currently have to pay for all of our bins, and those bins are very, very expensive. Right now, we have about 15 to 17 of those bins which are rotted out and need to be replaced.
Jim, can you make there's a definition here, situation. We provide containers, which are either 60,
Right.
95 gallon. When you talk about bins, do you mean dumpsters?
Dumpsters.
Yeah, because we don't pay for dumpsters in any development, just so you
Right,
know.
I understand that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there was a distinction
Sure.
between bins versus containers.
But up until recently, the town didn't pay for receptacles for the other residents, but they started paying for that.
Correct.
So I think what the residents are asking for is if we could be treated in kind with a similar average of $60 credit towards us that we could apply to our dumpsters. We have 297 units in our residents in our condominium complex, and I just thought it would be really nice if, since we are being treated the same as everybody else in terms of only having 1 collection a week instead of 2, that we could also get an in-kind contribution to our dumpsters, which would come to about $60.
Mr. Florin, the superintendent, and I have a recommendation to make to the Township Committee, and
Okay, I just wanted
hopefully
to
it'll be a,
give my opinion.
positive that we'll discuss in the conference room.
Just wanted to give my opinion on that.
No problem,
This
but there's,
sounds like we're going to get a very interesting answer, Jim.
there's some light at the end of the tunnel, let me put it that way.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else like to be heard at this time? Howard, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Howie Olson, 93 Griffith Drive.
You like the way they paved that street?
Oh, thank God for that. It came out beautiful. It's wonderful. And I just want to say thank you, and know that this has been coming for a long time, for the sidewalk on Reynolds Avenue from Highland to Parsippany Road. That was well deserved. I knew it took some time to get it done, but thank God for that, because I know eventually, especially with Quick Check being open, with the kids walking that way after school, somebody was going to get bopped. Also, just an observation. With the Whippany Post Office.
Oh,
Is there any way that we can possibly ask that building manager, owner, or whatever, to take take the sign down on that Whippany. It says Whippany Post Office.
It's confusing. Yeah, they haven't been in there for over years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when I go to Frank's for breakfast sometimes, I still see people walking in there trying to pull the door open and everything, and it would be nice if
Are they metal letters?
Yeah, they're on the building on the right-hand
What do you
side.
say about 10 o'clock tonight, you and I go down there?
Let's go.
And
I'm ready.
I have tools.
You on there?
I'll go with you guys.
Okay, we got some other volunteers. so
Yeah,
we'll-
I'm ready. But it just, that would be nice, because I know it's
I'm
steering a
only
lot of
kidding for
people
the
wrong.
record, though. Let's just make sure that
We're going to wish they go
We
away.
have a police officer
we are-
present
We're going to wish
in
the
back.
letters go away.
we do not engage in criminal activity. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
But I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to each and every one of you, and thank you for a great job this past year.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you. Thanks, Jim. We can't agree with you more. I think that on that post office, it's an eye nuisance now, and it's confusing. People do go to it, and as long as it's there, people are going to talk about it reopening.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all the right reasons to deal with this. Now it's under private ownership now, I would assume.
It always
I
was.
think the post office is out of the lease.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's always been privately owned.
All right, so, I think we would probably have to we'll locate that private owners and see if we can deal with them about the signs and any other property remediation that we have to get done over there. Ace, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I just want to address something that Howie said, and I know Mr. Olson's a big public safety guy and all about our kids all the time, but as you know, retired Deputy Chief Balkar is our top crossing guard, and he calls me every time there's a half a day. And he said, Ace, I'm going to tell you how many kids use that sidewalk today. And it's usually between 2 and 250. So like you said, I want to thank everybody, including the Board of Education members and Scott Pepper. A lot of people put a lot of time into that. And I would say that those 200 to 250 kids would have been walking on Reynolds Avenue. So thanks for recognizing that, and thanks for all your input on it too, Howie.
Yeah.
A lot of
But
people involved in that.
the other point, that Ace hasn't brought it up, but it's a very important point. That sidewalk in that property area there is a school zone, and with the Memorial School right there. So, I mean, its purpose is integral to school safety there. You wouldn't have that many children unless it was immediate school zone, and that had to be addressed. So I think that's a big consideration. Thanks, Ace. Anyone else like to be heard at this time? Hearing none.
Move we close.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Aye.
The Township Committee at this point. Robert, anything?
Couple of comments as we close out another year. I think it was a productive year for the committee. Certainly we had some controversial issues to deal with. I don't think that's unique this year. Maybe next year will be a little bit smoother, we can only hope. But I think we've all worked hard and in conjunction with residents of the town to hear their input, get your feedback on things, and make decisions that are all best for the good of the community. So we appreciate your support. We thank you for all your input. And on that note, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Very good. George?
Yeah, we just had a senior luncheon, and I thank the mayor coming down, swearing in all the new officers. I know they really appreciate it. But on a public safety note, I would like to say, I really know it's been tough with the roads. I mean, we had more road blockage than anyone could possibly imagine. But it all came to fruition. Everything is just about completed as we planned. I thank the engineering department. I thank Bill Burns for all the work that they did. Considering 3.6 miles of road, that's a lot of road, okay? But I thank the residents. I know at times it was a little testy, but, it's done, and I'm glad. And I thank the police and all of the services that helped to make it happen. Other than that, I do wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy, and blessed New Year.
Thanks, George. Very good. Tom?
Just quick also, I'd like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. I think we did have a productive year. We've got a lot of good things done in Hanover Township. I just want to say on a slightly serious note, the Hanover Township Substance Awareness Council has a new partnership with the Hanover Township Police Department. I know Jim Lent's waiting for our press release on this. We're also going to be working with the Sheriff's Department in Morris County. But the only thing I'd say with the holidays coming up is for everybody to please be careful. Please look out for one another. There's two big programs, drive sober or get pulled over, and then buzz driving is drunk driving. We know people go to parties. We know people go to their relative's house. And just please be extra careful. The roads are a little more dangerous. I think this time of year, statistically, I believe they are. So just be careful. Look out for one another. And I'd also like to say that, again, for our men at the DPW, the way we work together, the way they work with our rec department, with our fields and our building and fields maintenance, those guys had a great year. I believe they officially put away their leave machines. I hope so. They're very loud and they're all over town, but these guys have been really doing a great job. And all with our improvements around the schools, although we take a lot of credit for our improvements with engineering, the DPW are actually the guys that also have input, and they're also the guys that carry out the tasks and the actual improvements. So I want to say again, Hanover Township Police Department working with the DPW and us, thank you very much to everybody for making Hanover Township what it is, and I'm very grateful to live here and serve on this level. So thank you, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. That's it, Mayor.
Great, very good. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, to echo some of the commentary that was expressed regarding the roads, the road projects that were done this year were exceptional. Exceptional in that, number one, the Township Committee was able to come up with the financial solution to do it. So that was obstacle number one. And we thank the Township Committee for doing that. Secondly, in order to get this done, this required true cross-functional working together, where engineering worked very closely with DPW, who developed the strategies and managed the day-to-day process of the roads. But this also included Hanover Sewage Authority, which worked and supported TVing pipes and things beneath the roads, because we're trying to not just fix roads and then come back and have these roads torn up because of a utility issue. We also worked very well with the Water Authority in terms of trying to plan to make sure that public utilities are not coming in after we spend $1 million fixing roads and then ripping up our roads. But for those of the utilities who don't get the message and you plan to rip up our roads, you know that we have an ordinance that we put in place that if you destroy that road lane, you own that road lane now, and you're not going to pave a crack, you're going to pave an entire lane. So we appreciate your work proactively with us, but for those of you who were not able to do it proactively, we are going to seek your support in keeping those roads whole. In addition to the work that was done by HSA, we also had Hanover's finest, the police department. So it was a total team effort in order to make this happen, and we appreciate all the members of the team. And if I've left anyone out who supported that initiative, I apologize. I personally appreciate everything that was done because the roads needed it. We had 2 disastrous winters in a row, and now we're kind of like enjoying, 70-degree weather in December, so that's a good thing. Mayor, that concludes my report.
I wish my flowers would stop blooming. But thank you, John, in any event. John brings up a point, don't want to belabor it. Engineering department in conjunction with Public Works, et cetera, and Bill Byrne did a fantastic job in working with us on a consulting basis to jumpstart a lot of the road projects that we've got done. If you think this was good, hang on for 2016. Very, very aggressive road program, including Ridgedale Avenue and some others that are going to be milled and or repaved in some full fashion, whether it's reconstruct or total milling. But a lot of the infrastructure is going to be improved. We're going to be catching up with it, if not staying ahead of it, and I'm really, really pleased with it. Pleased, gentlemen, with the outcome on Whippany Road. Quick little joke that I sustained for a long time after I talked about Whippany Road and said it'd be done with the first of the year. Many of the neighbors said to me, "What year?" And so I'm glad to sit back now and smile. Here we haven't hit the end of the year yet, Jerry, and you pulled it off. So it's fantastic. Now it's a monitoring situation. It's great. I call people when I'm stopped at the light by the Quick Check, and I tell them I can roll a bowling ball down to the high school, and that's phenomenal. We're monitoring it at peak hours. It's still going to have more traffic at peak hours. certainly nowhere near the traffic levels that you sustained before this road improvement was done. And we're hoping to continue that. Obviously, we have more work to do on a regional level, but Hanover's going to be pressing for that too. I want to remind everybody, January 1st, reorganization day for the Township Committee, 12 o'clock noon here in this room. Committeeman will be re-sworn in, and at the same time, the Township Committee will reorganize its body. And shortly thereafter, we always invite you to a reception. We'd love you all to attend. Please pass it on to your neighbors, and love to see you here on that day. On that note, again, a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, which is just passed to all of our Jewish neighbors. Holidays for everyone else of good faith. Enjoy them. And again, be safe on the roads. Tomorrow's the shortest day, the darkest day. So take care through this holiday. So thank you very much. At this time, gentlemen, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Committee stands adjourned. Sits adjourned, stands adjourned, is adjourned.
All the above. All the above. All the above. All the above.
Where else would I rather be spending it? Where else would I rather spend it? No, I had my birthday planning for it. And I'll buy that would be almost.
Which is it?
13 years ago. Yeah.